Hey, HCDA, and today we're playing some more Oxygen Not Included, and specifically I'm going to make a new run. Why? Because the last 66 cycles were very informative, but now I want to apply everything that I've learned into a more intentional playthrough rather than just trying things out, basically. So, we're gonna make a new game. I'm still gonna play on survival. I'm still gonna be playing in a classic spaced out version, and I am going to use the exact same coordinates that I used last time. Why? Mostly because I would like to compare the result of that with the previous run as well. So yeah, that is going to be it. Let's get going. When it comes to my duplicates, I'm not gonna re-roll them until I get the perfect set, but I do now know that you can actually just pick sort of presets. So for example, if you want a builder, you can just select that and then re-roll, and it will at least guarantee yourself to get a building bonus on that particular duplicate. So I am going to see what I can come up with without re-rolling for too long. Okay, so how about this? So Otto over here is a digger, which is going to be very useful because, well, you know, we're going to be doing a lot of digging, and running around faster is probably useful as well. He's also a foodie, so that's a thing, and he's not very creative. So honestly, this seems like all okay. We have Steve over here who's going to do all of our research, so this is going to help us do the research a lot faster, so that's really nice. He's also a foodie, apparently, and he doesn't like... Well, he doesn't know how to dress himself, so he gets a -15 to decor. Not sure if that's a problem, but we're going to find out. Now, Pei over here is a builder, who will allow us hopefully to build stuff a lot quicker. She also has excavation, so she's actually not a bad digger either, but she's allergic to flowers. Now, since we won't have any flowers at the beginning anyway, that is probably not a big thing, so this is what we're going with, and we're going to call the colony the good place, because hopefully that is what it's going to be. And there we are. Okay, so let's pause the game straight away. There we go. And let me remind myself what I'm working with, because I barely remember how the game started. So, one thing I do know that I definitely want to do is make sure we have one large water pocket, because all of this water was kind of getting into the way in the way of my other playthrough. I'm also thinking that if that is what we're doing, we should probably have like a vertical thingy. What do you call that? The shaft over here. Not sure if that matters. I don't remember anything getting in the way of that in particular, but you know, having the shaft over here is going to be pretty awesome. I also think that maybe this time around I don't want to have a 3 wide, but maybe make it 5. That might be overkill, but I really like having that central area being very open, so we can be creative with that if we need to be. However, first things first, I definitely need to start working on my... Let me think. We have 3 duplicates, so we have over 5 days of calories already available, and we're probably going to dig out some stuff as we go. So if I remember correctly, I was way too worried about food last time around. What I should be worried about is making sure that we control the germs early on, because that was just out of control. So that means that we should probably focus on getting some toilets up and running, then some beds up and running, because I did that way too late first time around as well, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm just gonna dig out some area in a horizontal direction first. We can make some very simple rooms to get started with. And let's see, we are going to need some water. Oh yeah, wait, that is true. We do need some early water. Okay, hold on. So where am I gonna put my water? So either I put that shaft over here or I put it over here. I am not entirely sure it matters a lot. So let's keep it simple for now. I think I want to make the shaft here on this side. This seems like a nice open area. It's also not too... Well, we either have the polluted water over here or the good water over there. But that's actually quite a long way away. So let's see. I am going to dig down to this water over here. Like so. We're probably going to have to dig out a lot of stuff anyway. So if we do it like this... We can kind of work our way down there, and that should work just fine. Now let's see, what do we need in order to get the outhouse going? Let's just make sure we have a couple of those. This is all temporary, by the way, obviously, hopefully. Oh, we need the more advanced digging. Hold on. If I look at the materials over here, what is this that I'm digging out over here? This is granite. Do we have any granite over here? This should be fine, I think. Yeah, but, well, you can actually tell from the icons. So yeah, we're definitely going to progress in this direction first rather than in that direction. But we're going to put some outhouses over there. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Let's see. We should probably set the enable proximity from the get-go this time around. We have also the digger, so let's make sure you prioritize the digging. We have the researcher, so let's make sure you prioritize the researching. And pay that you prioritize your building. And other than that, we'll just keep everything as it is for now, because that should make sure that we don't overdo it, but we still have some efficient progress, at least at the start of the game. Okay, I think that will do for now. So let's make sure we not deconstruct, but let's cancel this. Then they can start working on this side, so that we can make sure the outhouses are actually, you know, watered. And let's see, do we have everything we need for plumbing? I think so. So let's build that over there. And that should take care of things for the most part. Okay, there we go already. So Otto fell down here, and I've been there before, so I'm a little bit, hopefully a little bit more careful this time around. Let's make sure he has a ladder to work himself a way back up so he doesn't drown. Because, you know, we've had some very bad experience with that in the past. Yeah, that should fix that ladder, and that should allow Otto to come back up. Okay, so that means, where do we go from here? Probably, How quick can I be? Does it really matter? Probably not. But I'm just thinking about how I want to do the layout. So if we are going to be building the shaft over here, we're probably going to put a door like here, and then we have some other areas over here. So we need to open up this entire area, honestly. I also need to get the water out of the way, so I probably should be doing that first. And I can fairly easily do that, I think, by kind of opening this up. Now, how do I do that in a smart way? I don't think there's really a smart... Oh, it's obviously going to go down the water. So if this is where the water is going to be, then we could dig out like a pocket, a very big pocket over here, and then have all the water go in there, and then maybe have the water drop in there somehow as well. A little bit cryptic, but let's see what we can do. First things first, though, I need some places for them to sleep. I need some places for them to do their business. And that should take care of the initial needs they have. Can I actually already build... Yeah, I can build cots already. I definitely don't want to build them like that. So they're under furniture. There we go. 1, 2. And then if we take this out, we are good to go in that regard. Also, let's make sure we put this on a slightly higher priority than anything else. I probably also want to put this at a higher priority so they collect any food they find. I need a third bed. Let's keep using the short keys whenever we can. Germs are still going to be a problem, but not for the moment, I don't think. Okay, so this covers water, this covers the outhouse, this covers all of the basics, honestly. Now, I probably should be focusing on a wash basin, like so. Let's just make sure they at least wash their hands every now and then. And then what we can do is something like this. We can go... This is already in the shaft. This is not where I want to be with that shaft, but, you know, it should be okay, I think. And then... So if we have another... We can have a supply level in between here. Which means that this would be the boundary. So then this... Let me think. could dig this out something along these lines. And then, because then this can be like the supply level, which is just boxes and a supply. Not sure we need a supply level, to be fair. But I thought it would be kind of cool to have a supply level in between. Okay, so that should take care of most of that stuff. I'm kind of doubting whether or not I should remove the free oxygen thingies I have over here. Hold on, is this fertilizer? Huh. What is this? Fertilizer, oxalate. So I don't think I want to cut out the oxalate. Although, at the other hand, I am also not entirely sure it makes a big difference. So, let's see. If this is a normal floor, then this would be the... let's make this floor 3 high, maybe? No, actually, let's keep it like this. So, then this would be the floor. Then this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Normal floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is actually 2 floors high. So I think that's going to be very nice. And when I say 2 floors high, what I mean is I'm going to make all the floors, with the exception of the supply level, 4 tiles high. And this is the equivalent of 2 of those levels, so we can make everything look a little bit pretty. Hopefully. Famous last words. But you know I'm doing my best. So, let's make sure we don't dig this out in the wrong way. This is going to go in here. This is going to go in here. And we should take it from there. We should still be able to reach this, so we can keep the supply there going on. We have beds, we have that. So honestly, now the real thing that we just need is oxygen and food. Then we already have all the basic supplies covered. Yeah, the water is already going in the right direction, which is nice. So we could drop down maybe this water in here as well at some point, and just get the water organized from the get-go. I'm not entirely sure if I will be able to fit everything in, but I guess we're going to find out one way or another. Okay, this was a little silly on my part, because I shouldn't have started to dig that out. So let me fill my back in. Yeah, that was not my brightest moment, obviously. If I do it like this, then the water... If any water is starting to flow, it's going to flow in that direction. Honestly, we probably need to pump it out one way or another anyway. You can also kind of just push it out and have it drop over the edge like that. But, you know, still learning, still learning, still learning. Okay, so let's do it like that. Let's cancel that one. That's not really useful. Let's make sure we can actually get out again as well. And we'll probably have to work with some temporary ladders in here, just so I can actually reach everything. So from the floor, they should be able to reach 1, 2, 3, 4. So something along those lines, literally. Should do the trick. And then we might need something like that, just to make sure they can reach everything. We'll clear this entire thing out. And we already have a colony achievement, actually. What is that? Have at least 1 toilet in the colony and a bed for every duplicant. Yay! Okay, well, they're eating up after a first day of work, and I already like the progress. It's tiny, but, you know, we need to start somewhere. And look at that, we found our first hatchling as well. I look forward to actually making a proper hatchling facility very soon as well. Well, very soon. Probably a little bit too ambitious for that. But getting the water sorted out is going to be very satisfying. It's been annoying me in the other playthrough from the beginning, and just getting all the water in the place where you want it to go is, yeah, I think this is just an amazing feeling. Okay, that's a second day's worth of work done, and I think what we need to do at this point is relocate this a little bit, because that is obviously not going to be working anymore, and now we drop the water level. I'm gonna slowly clear this out, but first of all, I now want to start focusing a little bit on food, as well as getting some basic rooms up and running. Along with science, you know, all the things, basically. Now, let's see, do we have seeds? We have 5 mealwood seeds at this point, which is not a lot. That's about enough for one duplicant. But you know, that's 1/3 of my food supply if I can get that up and running. So let's make sure we start focusing on that, and hopefully we'll dig out some more mealwood as we go. Okay, so Steve is cleaning the toilets while we are deconstructing the old pitcher pump. We need to delete this one. Yep, there we go. And then we're going to be putting in a new pitcher pump over here. Ah, that actually doesn't fit, so it needs to be one level lower. That's unfortunate, but we can actually start removing that altogether. So let's make sure we just start destructing the top layer so we can recover some of those materials. Yeah, that also means I can destruct this because we no longer need that. This is where the door is going to be. I'm actually just going to put in 2 doors already to begin with, so I have some way of visualizing this. Now I have 1, 2, 3. How am I going to do that? I'm probably going to do that with ladders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this in the middle, I guess, is where the main ladder is going to be. Something along those lines. And then I can start clearing this entire thing out. And then just to make sure I know what I'm doing there. And then we want a door. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, door. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, just double checking. And I'll put another door here just to make sure I understand for myself what the layout is that I'm after. Now, how are we going to organize everything else? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure just yet. Probably going to make sleeping quarters, eating quarters, bathrooms, kind of like that, or something along those lines. And then we're going to be putting in some food production as well. Okay, we're making some very good progress towards digging this out. So let's see, we need a room that is 64 tiles, if I remember correctly, to make a latrine. Yeah, so a maximum size 64, so that should be exactly this. We already have it locked up. And then I'm just gonna copy this, what I meant to do. There we go. 1, 2, 3, maybe? This might be overkill, but 1, 2, 3. There we go. This is just planning for the future ahead of time already. We need to set these settings slightly different. Let's put it like this. Let's copy the settings to all of them like that. So whatever time they go to the bathroom, they wash their hands, which is of course something we definitely want all of them to do. Okay, so now we can remove this, and if I check the room overlay, ta-da, we have a latrine. So that is a room 1 already. Let's also make sure we have somewhere for them to eat. We need somewhere for them to go to the bathroom. I think they go to the bathroom first, then they eat, and then they go sleep. So if you do it like this, bathroom, eat, sleep, that should make sense, right? I don't know, maybe. Let's see. If this is how we're doing it, then we also need to lock this down. So we can make a couple of more rooms. Let's take this thing and dig out another room of 64 tiles over here. And then we can have another room, 68 tiles, because I did include the door over here. There we go, like this. And that should get us started really nicely from the get-go. Okay, we also need to start worrying a little bit about oxygen. Now, oxygen floats up, so what I'm thinking is maybe I'll just put down some oxygen diffusers over here. Let me do the math. Hold on. Why is this an infinite? Oh, it actually needs to be on solid ground. Okay. Maybe then we don't want to put it there. What I could also do is we wanted to have another one of those supply floors in here. Something like those lines. Not about 100% sold on the supply floor yet, but I'm sticking with the idea. But if we're doing that, then this water is already in the way. Although if I just dig down, we can always deal with it later. So in that case, what I could do is just dig this entire area out and then add in a new floor. and then have some, basically have an oxygen producing room to the bottom left over here. Oh, and that also means we are now at the end of the third cycle, and that means I can ask for a care package. Now we could just order some muck roots. Or we could add in another duplicant already. Might be a little bit early for that, to be honest. Although, to be honest, May looks really good. She has tidying and cooking. Huh. On the other hand, Bunny over here has a massive bonus to carrying capacity. I don't want her doing anything else, basically. That's the main problem. But May looks pretty good as well. Huh. Do we add someone already or not? Honestly, I think we... no. Let's keep it, play it safe for the moment. Let's just get some muck root. And that means we have additional calories. We have enough calories now to last for, I don't know, 7 days or so. So, yeah, that should be enough. But I definitely need to get the oxygen up and running, because if I check this out, yeah, we are kind of running low on that. I just realized I don't need to build the oxygen down there. I can just build it up here because we just made some room. So, yeah, I'm gonna make sure this has a very high priority. We need a hamster wheel in order to get some power generation going. We have a little battery over here to make sure we don't have to continuously do this. And then the oxygen diffuser itself. And everything should be hooked up pretty much as soon as we get it going. Now, I do want to make sure once more that I give this a slightly higher priority. Because if this runs out, everything else is, yeah, not good. Let's put it like that. Okay, so we have cleared out most of the room over here. Which also means I'm actually going to put in a wall. Just to make sure I know what I'm trying to do. We also need to put in a wall like this. With the exception of this part. And then we're going to copy this. So what did I say? We went to the bathroom, we went to eat, and then we went to sleep. So this is going to be the sleeping quarters. So we are going to copy this and put the beds right up there. We also need to make sure this thing has a floor itself, like so. Just double checking. This feels like less than 64? No, it is exactly 64. So that is nice. Oh, look, there's actually some more mealwood in here as well. Yep, it's starting to look like a proper base already. Oh man, I forgot how quick these small batteries drain. So I'm just going to add a few more to that mix to make sure you know, we get that going. Let's see. And how are we doing on the oxygen? Yeah, it's slowly turning into a problem. However, we are definitely now starting to produce it. So we are producing about 1.5 times as much as that compared to what we're consuming. So as long as this thing keeps working, we should be fine, I think. And worst case scenario, we can always put some more of these around the place just to make sure we kind of fill in the gaps where needed. But yeah, all in all, the work in here is going a little bit slow because we are having some CO2 issues. But we'll need to deal with that at some other point, because first of all, we need to get those last few rooms up and running, which is what we're working on right now. Oh wow, I can't believe we're only 5 days in, and it feels like I am catching up rapidly to where I was in my 66 cycle playthrough that I started out with. Not surprisingly, because I kind of know what I'm doing now. At the same time, I'm probably underestimating the progress I made, even though I was stumbling around a lot in my previous playthrough. But you know, one thing at a time. This is starting to look really nice. I made sure to separate the water, by the way, over here and here, just to make sure that we don't have some pollution dropping down and then muddying all the water, hopefully. As always, famous last words, but yeah, this is starting to look pretty decent. Now, I definitely need a research station. This is going to consume dirt. But I need this to be finished first, so I will prioritize this little floor tile as well. I'd like to finish the room, and we are definitely going to finish the room, but it's not a super high priority. What I mostly need to have is these beds out of the way. So we have 3 beds there, so now we can remove those. And honestly, they will probably sleep better. They don't have a floating light around. Although the light might still float in, actually. So, you know, maybe we should make sure we clear down this entire room over here so it doesn't just float up. But yeah, that means we now have a bit of a sleeping chamber. I don't think it actually qualifies as a room yet. That's because it's way too large. But if we close this up... let's see. Once they close this up, is it going to count as a room? Nope, because I guess it's, yeah, it's slightly too large because of the ceiling. Okay, well, that's a shame, but not too big of an issue. What we definitely want now is a station, a research station, and we're going to put it right over there. And I'm going to hook it up to the power. Power. And there we go. So we can start doing some real science and start making some progress in that regard as well. Okay, so sleep, eat. So the eating part is something we can't do yet, but that's what we need to research for so we can unlock some tables. And there we go, we have our little research station over here. There's a lot of crap on the ground, but that's not too big of a problem. So let's think, where do we need to go first? We need to make sure we can actually do the farming. And in order to do that, we are going to need to unlock both the basic farming. That's also going to give us the algae terrarium, so we can do something about some CO2. And there we go. That's the 2 things I think we need first and foremost. Do we need any of these things? Well, we definitely want all of them, but maybe not as first priority. A bigger battery would also be useful. Yeah, like before, if you do too many things at the same time, you're not really doing anything. And also, let's make sure we get the food sorted first, and we can maybe do something with the algae to kind of deal with this CO2 we have down here. It's nice to have it like next to the water as well. So yeah, okay. So that is all working pretty decently, actually. Look at this. So now it's just a matter of kind of waiting for the science. Now, in the meanwhile, obviously I want to make sure we spend our time as useful as possible. Let's dig out this area up here. So let's make sure we go all the way up, as well as in this direction. That basically it means the next floor is already good to go. We want to fill in the ceiling over here. So we can slowly start turning these into actual rooms that count towards the morale bonus as well. And while I'm doing all of this, I am going to try to relocate some of these hatches. Let's maybe put them in the sleeping chamber. Because I have a feeling that at some point they're going to drop down and drown, which is definitely not what I want. Okay, so research complete. Basic farming. So we have the algae terrarium, we have the planter box, ration box, and compost. Now I don't think we need the ration box just yet. So I don't think we need the compost per se. But we definitely want to start putting down some of these plants. So how much CO2 are you guys producing? So 2,000 milligram, which is 200 grams. Not sure why you're not just saying that. No, that's not 200 grams. Hold on. That's 2 grams per second. So that's not a lot. So how much can you absorb? 333 milligrams. Okay, so hold on. It's a little bit annoying that they use different ways of measuring this. So this is, he's exhaling 2,000 milligrams per second. And one of these is just going to absorb 300. So we would need like 6 of these plants just to compensate for 1 of those dudes. Huh. Oh, and we also get polluted water out of this, so we probably don't want to build them over there. If the polluted water is going to drop down there, that is a problem. Okay, hold on. So let's deconstruct that. I'm also going to then Maybe do it like this. Like this, like this. We can cancel that one. We can dig this entire thing out. And then what we can do... I'm considering to build a lower floor for these plants, but for now I think this will do. Because it's gonna float up anyway. Let's do it like this, but make sure we have... Oh, that doesn't work. Hold on. Sure, we put just one tile up here. So in case any water leaks out, it doesn't immediately drop down into the clear water that we have down here. Just being a little bit careful about keeping the water as clean as possible. I was pretty good at that last time around as well, but yeah. I'm also going to higher prioritize my hatches being relocated because I don't want them to die. And we are still progressing on the science, which is going to make sure we have the farm tile as well as the mess table. Almost forgot, we have some new skills. So we have a hard digging skill for our digger. That makes sense. So we can actually start digging through some of the lad's stuff. Do I want you to be better at construction? I'm honestly not entirely sure. I mean, we're not building that much. So alternatively, I could just improve her carrying capacity because that's always useful. I'm not actually sure. I'm gonna go with this one, yeah. And then for Steve, he's going to do the researching stuff. So, you know, let's make sure he's a little bit better. This also allows him to use the tier 2 computer, so once we get access to that, so that is definitely what we want there as well. And we're still doing really good on food, so I am not really that much in a hurry. Now, where am I gonna put my initial food supply? So we're making... Maybe you can put it up here. Would that make sense? I guess. I mean, it makes about as much sense as anything else. We are going to put the dining over here. So you could also argue that we want to put the food supply up here, maybe. Does it really matter? Probably not. We could actually make this an entire food supply level as well. I'm also partially considering maybe... okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Hold on. Okay, so we can print something once again, and this time I am seriously considering getting another duplicant because we are very close to starting our food production. Then the real question is, who are we picking? Someone who has a little bit of everything, including digging speed, which is never a bad thing. She can't cook. She's immune to food poisoning. Yeah, I think this might actually be a really interesting one. She is good at ranching or in researching. We already have a researcher. Honestly, although she isn't bad. Honestly, they're all pretty good, to be fair. But let's just go with Lindsay and let's make her our designated farmer. Just because we need one of those anyway. So let's print her. That also means we do need another bed, which I didn't really plan for. So hold on. Let's just copy one of the beds over here. There we go. Let's make that a very high priority. And let's also go to the schedule. What I'm going to do is I'm basically going to clone this schedule like this. No. Can I clone... duplicate the schedule? That's what I wanted to do. There we go. And then I am going to shift this up. So once these ones are waking up, these ones are going to go to sleep. That also means they need to start their downtime earlier. Hold on. And then the bath time is after that. This is the identical schedule to the one above. Is it? Almost. Hold on. Now it is. Maybe we should offset it one more. Yeah, just to make sure there's no conflict with the beds and the schedules. Doesn't really matter that much, I think. And then I'm going to move Lindsay over to the schedule. And you also. And we probably need to rename this. So this is schedule 2. And this is schedule 1. Okay, there we go. And that means we have 2 people on every schedule, so they should never have issues with bathrooms or anything like that. We're kind of staggering where they go and at any time. Okay, so that also means I need to set the priorities for Lindsay. Now, she's gonna do some digging as well, because she is actually pretty good at that. But I am going to make sure that she thinks farming is even more important, because that's first and foremost her primary job. So we have a bed for her as well, so that is fixed there. And yeah, then we just need to wait for some of this stuff to get built. Okay, there we go. So now what we can do is we can make a mess table over here. Let's do something like that. We also probably want to move the ration box in there as well. That's where all the food is gonna go. Hold on. I think I'm gonna cancel this one. We want to be super efficient. We want to have as much stuff at the beginning of the room as possible. Let's make sure we have at least 3 tables. And let me remind myself, what do we need for a mess hall, a dining table? Yeah, basically just what we have already, along with a finished floor. Now, speaking of floors, now we have the farm tile unlocked. What we can do is cancel all of that. Where is that tile? It's under food, probably. Yes. And we can start putting in these tiles like so. And like so. And then all we need to do is put in some doors, although technically I guess these doors aren't needed, but they look good, so... yeah, don't blame me for making things look a little bit prettier. If we really want to make things look pretty, we should probably also cancel this. I mean, well, actually, what we could do is extend this floor. Make this a longer floor, because I kind of already did that over here. That's interesting. Let's see, why did I make this? Yeah, so if we would make a wrangling thing, for example, it would be this wide. Yeah, that could actually be a thing. Let's hold on. If we go to the barracks, how large can a barracks be? Mess halls can be... So great halls can actually be really large. So what I could do is make this a larger room as well. And make that into a great hall at some point. Maybe not immediately, but at some point. What do we need for that? We need a decor building, we need a dining table. We already have dining tables. So all we need to do is go to the research. Go to decor. Research this. And then we can make this into the great hall. And we could make that into the dining table. So since we haven't actually built this yet, let's delete that. Let's copy some beds. Let's make sure there's 4 of them over there. And yeah, then we can have food growing up here. We can have them sleep over here and dine over there. We can make that a large room, and then we can kind of keep everything symmetric. So we'll have a larger set of rooms on this side and a smaller set of rooms on that side. And then maybe eventually we can make a 5 wide shaft here as well. And then have everything look so awesome and nice. Oh, hold on. The science is not doing anything because apparently I lost my floor here. Not sure what happened. Probably digging out some of the sand. So let's make sure this is a very high priority to fix, because that is unfortunate. We definitely do need to start working on some more research. We also have this farm tile up and running. We have 19 millwood seeds. So that's almost enough to feed all of my 4 duplicants. We need a few more, but this is going to keep us pretty much neutral on food. And this is just going to need dirt, right? Let me double check. Yeah. As far as I know, this is just going to need dirt. Hold on, I can check here. It needs atmosphere. We have all that covered. Yeah, dirt, 10 kilograms per cycle. Actually, what I think I should do... Hold on. Let's uproot this. Actually, let's just deconstruct this. I'm gonna put a storage box over here to store dirt. Just to make sure that it's super easy for them to resupply everything. They don't have to carry the dirt around all over the place. They can do that a little bit more directed. Okay, so the decor is done. Let's get maybe the power. Or should I just focus on getting the advanced research up and running? Probably something else more important first. Maybe like an air system, sanitation. Actually, let's upgrade our bathrooms. That is probably going to be very nice to have as well. Honestly, I could just queue up all those different resources. Doesn't really matter what we research in which order, because we're probably going to be researching stuff faster than we can build them anyway. So, the beds are moving from this side to that one. Well, the beds are already there. We're just removing those. And we have the storage container that I wanted up here as well. So what we can do now is... let's see. What can I store over here? We needed dirt, right? So let's make sure we keep that in there. And that should make it a lot easier to get the dirt where it needs to go, which is over here. Double checking. Did we need... Yeah. Okay, dirt. Okay, so that should make things a lot more efficient. We can also copy these settings and start planting some more mealwood here as well, so we can actually get the food production up and running. Double checking, did we have someone prioritized to farming already? Yes, we do. Lindsay is our girl to do that. Did I name her properly so I can remember this? Just in case someone dies. So I know who I'm supposed to be replacing a little bit more easily. Okay. We actually are not researching anything at the moment, so I might just as well start almost clicking random things. Maybe not that random, but let's make sure we start working towards the next research as well. And yeah, now I'm just going to focus for a minute on actually finishing the base layout that I have planned. Alright, this is starting to look like a proper base. We have some more expansion for the mealwood if we find some more of those seeds. We have the bathroom situation under control. Let's see. Germs. Not a single germ inside in the entire base. That's a massive improvement over what I did last time. We have the power up and running. We have the science up, or the basic science up and running at least. We have a water cooler in here. So if we now look at this... This is a mess hall still. What do we need for the Great Hall? Oh, I actually need to put something in this plant. Does that matter? Let's see. Does this need anything? I don't think so. I got these Murph leaf seeds from one of the packages. So I don't know. We might as well use one. I'm not sure what the difference is, to be honest. They look nicer, I guess, than the cactus ones. But if we put this at a higher priority, then hopefully we should get that up and running really quickly. And let's make sure we also keep researching stuff, because, you know, there's no reason to stop with that ever. Oh, growth halted. Body temperature? What temperature do you want? I mean, it's 22 in here. Oh, never mind. I was about to say, I should be just fine over there. But the main thing is this now a Great Hall? Yes, it is. So we have a +4 morale bonus over here. What do we need to make a barracks into a luxury barracks? We need comfy beds and some decor. Well, that is something we might also want to look into next time. But for now, I think this covers most of the basics. A little bit of a shorter episode, but next time around, I'm going to basically pick 1 or 2 projects at a time, make sure we complete them before I move on to doing anything else. And specifically, we probably need to deal with the CO2 a bit better. I might want to deal with the water situation here at the bottom as well. We have food under control. We have pretty much all the basics under control. I might want to upgrade the bathrooms as well, because that's something that I generally want to prioritize pretty highly as well. But then we've already kind of caught up to what I did last time around in 5 episodes and, I don't know, 66 cycles or so. A massive improvement, but it helps if you kind of know what you're doing. So I hope you enjoyed this new playthrough. If you have any suggestions on how to keep this very nice and tidy, then please do let me know, because yeah, that's kind of the goal here. And if you're still here, you are awesome. I hope to catch you in the next one.